My mother demanded that I hand over my inheritance money to my half-sister, but she was livid and went nuts when I took all my pennies and dropped them in her hand. It was 7:30 a.m. I was out feeding cattle and having a jam session in the tractor when Dad came to the feedlot. "Someone's here to see you," he said. I asked who, but I didn't need an answer once I saw the angry look on his face as he threw down his cigarette that he'd failed to light. I hopped off the tractor and walked around the farmyard until I spotted a brand new Porsche sitting in our driveway. My mother was in the driver's seat. To describe what she looks like, imagine someone did a terrible job copying James Charles's heaviest makeup routine. Karen haircut with blonde highlights and a spray tan that would make Trump look pale. I often wonder if she'll ever do a face reveal so the world can see what's under all that makeup. I walked up to her car and politely said hello. She wrinkled her nose and looked disgusted at me. "Don't you have anything better to wear besides those filthy rags? And take that wad of chewing tobacco out of your mouth. I'm embarrassed you're my son looking like that." I said, these are work clothes and I was working. I just put this chaw in and it ain't even kicked in yet. What do you want?" She looked me up and down with a disgusted look again before taking a deep breath and speaking. "I need to ask you a favor. It's rather important. See, your sister will be graduating this year, and I think it would only be fair if you gave her the money your grandfather left you, since you don't need it anyway." Now I knew exactly what she was after. My grandpa had put aside $25,000 for each grandchild that once they turned 18, they could use for college or buying a car. The only catch was you needed to either graduate high school or obtain a GED. Here's the thing though. After the divorce, my mother had asked my grandpa that not only should her kids, my half-brother and half-sister, still get the money, but also he needed to beef it up a few extra grand. Out of pure spite, my grandpa took the money originally meant for them, put it all in mine, and told her only his actual grandkids could get the money. A few years later, when he passed away, my dad added some of his own inheritance to it. So when I graduated high school, I ended up with $93,000. I have since spent $27,000 out of it on a tractor and put the rest in savings, which I add to with my paychecks every month. I looked at my mother standing there in her designer outfit and said, "You want the inheritance?" She smiled like she'd already won. "Yes, your sister deserves it more than you do anyway." "All of it?" "Every single penny," she said confidently. I told her to wait right there. I went inside and grabbed something I'd been collecting since I was 12 years old. A massive glass jar filled completely to the brim with pennies. My dad saw what I was carrying and his eyes went wide before he started grinning ear to ear. I walked back outside and my mother's smile got even bigger when she saw me carrying something heavy. She probably thought it was a duffel bag full of cash or something. "You said you wanted every penny, right?" I asked her. "Yes, now hand it over." I unscrewed the lid and started pouring 25,000 pennies right into her perfectly manicured hands. The first few dozen she tried to catch, but then they just started bouncing everywhere, all over her designer outfit, into her expensive car, rolling across the gravel driveway. She started screaming at the top of her lungs, "What are you doing? I meant the real money." I kept pouring without stopping. "You said every penny. I'm giving you every penny I think you deserve." Coins were bouncing off her shoes, getting stuck in her hair, rolling under her Porsche. She was frantically trying to pick them up while more kept falling. Her spray tan was starting to run from the sweat. "This is only $250. I wanted the $93,000. I finally emptied the last of the jar and set it down. "Should have been more specific, Mother. Those are all the pennies from my inheritance that I'm willing to give you. Technically, you got exactly what you asked for." My dad was laughing so hard he had to sit down on the porch steps. Tears were streaming down his face. My mother stood there covered in pennies, mascara running down her cheeks, screaming about getting lawyers involved and family obligations. I just smiled and said, "Have fun counting them all, and get off our property before I call the sheriff for trespassing." She peeled out of the driveway so fast she left tire marks on the gravel. We were still finding pennies scattered around the yard for weeks afterward.